Welcome to the Great Green North. Long time no see, eh? We are here in Southern Ontario, Canada, and it feels like spring is trying to slowly peek its way out here. So we're gonna take a look around my lawn, see what the damage was like after what feels like was the longest winter ever, and talk about spring lawn tips for you here in Southern Ontario. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alrighty, so I am back, we are back, and lawn season is just around the corner. So, for those of you new here, my name is Wade Murray. I'm a lawn care enthusiast, as well as I worked in the industry, and we are going to be helping you this year take your lawn to the next level with simple homeowner lawn tips that you can do at home. Simple stuff as cutting properly, fertilizing, all that stuff, teaching you how to take care of your lawn at home and get some amazing results. So if that sounds like a good idea to you, make sure you hit subscribe and hit that like button down below, because that helps promote the video to more people so we can get more people and start growing this Canadian lawn care community. All right, so we just went through what feels like was one of the longest winters in my recent memory. Snow started about late November and I haven't seen the lawn since. So we had about 3 feet of snow here, believe it or not, about 4 days ago. It's all gone. We went from -15 to +18, and now we're back down to like -2. So who knows? Well, and we're supposed to get 10 centimeters of snow again this weekend. So who knows how much longer this is gonna last? But I figured, well, the weather was nice. Let's get out here. Let's take a walk around the lawn. Let's see what we're looking at. Let's show you some things that might be able to help your lawn. And let's talk about some quick early spring lawn tips that you can enact in your house this year coming up. This is my back lawn here. It's about 100 by 100. It's a mix of Kentucky bluegrass, creeping red fescue, and a little bit of fine fescue. I mowed this for the last time about mid-November last year. Gets a lot of foot traffic in the fall from these trees. When all the leaves come off the trees, we pick them up, we sweep them up with the leaf blower and rakes and everything. So this area over here always tends to get a lot more traffic in the fall time, which doesn't help it as well. This area here is partial shade here, a little bit of partial to full shade on that side, and in the middle is full sun. We are facing west right now. So all in all, looking around here, first thing I notice, in previous years I've seen quite a bit of vole damage coming out from under the deck here. Not seeing that this year, so I don't know why this year there's no vole damage and compared to previous years, but not seeing any vole damage right now, so we'll take that. Definitely a little bit here, a little bit of these trails. If you see kind of those trails but on a larger scale, that's called vole damage. It's essentially field mice, little small field mice. In the winter time, they dig those trails, they eat your lawn. It's not the end of the world. You're going to be able to survive past that. The lawn will come back mid-spring, not an issue, but it is something to know that you probably have some field mice living under. They're normally, you tend to see them near culverts, rocks, or decks, places where the mice can kind of seek refuge from the cold in the wintertime, but then they're coming out to look for a source of food. So as mentioned, we had quite a bit of snow this winter, and on top of snow, we had quite a bit of ice, as you can see here. So I would say on the lawn for most of the winter, there was probably about 6 inches of ice and then about 3 feet of snow on top of that. So unfortunately, when you get a lot of ice on the lawn like this, it kind of acts as a glacier. You know, we know how the glaciers came through this area of Southern Ontario and they formed the fields and the hills and the rock foundations that we see here. It's kind of on a micro scale what happens when the snow melts on your lawn. When the snow melts, it moves and pushes everything over, flattens it down. That's what we see when we have years with a lot of ice buildup, like the year that just passed. So what we tend to see with a lot of ice buildup is a lot of thatch. So what I am noticing in my lawn here, quite a bit of buildup of thatch. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here's a good example. So last mow of the year, last year, was, you know, 3 inches or less. And I'm seeing here, like, look at this thatch buildup here. The grass really should be standing up like this, but we're just seeing thick layer of thatch just like that, nice and matted down. You can see the difference here. This is the stuff that's been matted down from that ice we had, and that's it, all raked up, standing up, nice good airflow under there. So seeing thatch like that in your lawn is not necessarily the end of the world, but it is something you're going to want to address before the spring season comes in. If you don't address it, you'll notice that your lawn is patchy and thin early spring, and then that's going to provide opportunity for weeds like clover, dandelions, chickweed, all that stuff to kind of take over and take a foothold in your lawn as the summer comes. So you want to get on top of that. Right now, it's a little bit too early to be getting out with a rake and doing any mechanical opening up that canopy, letting that airflow get down into the soil and dry it out. But coming up soon, we're going to be looking at weather where you probably can. So what I would say in my area here, I'm in southern Ontario, close to Toronto. We normally are able to get out in the lawn and start doing some thatch raking probably about late March, early April. That's normally when the lawn's dry enough and things have kind of, winter's over and you're able to get in there and start opening it up. What I would normally say is we would want to see at least 2 or 3 weeks of somewhat dry weather after the snow has melted. So, and the other thing I want to see is that when you're stepping on that grass, when you're stepping on that water, you're not seeing that kind of slushy, you know, when you step on the ground and you get that big smush of water that comes up. That's definitely far too wet. You're going to cause a whole bunch of damage dethatching the lawn that way anyway. So just let it sit, let it be. I know it might scare you, but don't worry, the wind and everything's going to help opening up the lawn that way as well. But yeah, that's essentially what you're looking at there in regards to some matting you might see in your lawn. Now, matting in your lawn too tends to be particularly bad close to where the snow banks used to be. That's again just because there's a pileup of snow there. A lot of times there's salt mixed in with that snow, which leads to a melting, freezing situation, which normally leads to a buildup of ice, which then you get that ice damming, and you know, it leads to kind of matted down grass. So that's something definitely to be thinking about in your head. If you're seeing a lot of thatch, you should go ahead and rake that as soon as you get those sustained dry temperatures. Another reason you could be seeing a lot of thatch in your lawn is if you didn't cut it short enough at the end of the year. So taller grass, there's more leaf surface there, more leaf surface to have laid over means that greater possibility that you're gonna have some thatch showing up in the springtime. So if you're seeing a really lot of thatch in your lawn this year and you know that you kind of let things slide at the end of the year last year, maybe take a mental note. Next year, cut the lawn a little bit shorter and cut the lawn a little bit later into the season. Make sure that you have everything set up so you're set up for success come springtime. Now, another thing that I'm seeing a lot of in my lawn, and this is probably the most of it I've seen in my lawn in years, is snow mold. So snow mold is something that people are very concerned about every year. I get lots of emails, people upset, concerned, trying to figure out what this weird cobwebby looking fungus is growing in their lawn, and is it going to kill their lawn, and blah 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 blah. Snow mold essentially forms between the grass and the ice when you have trapped moisture. So when you have ice sitting on the lawn, your ice layer is here, your grass layer is down here, and there's that little pocket of moisture that allows a fungus to grow. It's essentially a mold, but they call it snow mold because it's caused by snow. It's for the most part a nuisance fungus. It does eat away at the leaf surface of the plant. It will, in really bad cases, kill the plant back to the crown, so basically kill all that leaf surface. You'll see these big brown circles showing up in your lawn. I'll put up some pictures here. But that's kind of a worst case scenario for snow mold. A lot of best case scenarios for snow mold. It's a nuisance. You see it when the snow first melts, but as soon as things start to dry out, you start to get decent airflow and you get a rake on that and you really open things up, the snow mold tends to dissipate quite quickly. So I don't have a dense thatch canopy. I dethatch my lawn pretty regularly. It's pretty important for us here up in cool season areas, and we'll be getting into that soon. But I don't have a dense thatch canopy in my lawn, so I don't really have a lot of area for that snow mold to really grow and live and thrive in. So I find that when I get snow mold in my lawn, it doesn't really stick around that much. However, this year is definitely a first for me for the amount we've had, so we're gonna see if this makes a big difference or not. Without further ado, let's go take a look at some of the snow mold we have here in the back lawn. All right, so right here we have a little patch of snow mold that showed up in my lawn. This is exactly what we're talking about. It's a weird cobwebby almost looking surface. Essentially what would have happened here, there was probably a whole bunch of ice around here, but there was a little air pocket in here that would have caused at some point by the freeze thaw cycles that we get in that early winter season, creates this snow mold here. It's essentially more like a cobwebby kind of looking mold. Eats away at all this leaf surface here. It loves this old kind of dense thatch. This kind of stuff is what snow mold thrives on. So if you have a really thatchy lawn, that's what the snow mold is really going to thrive on, and it's going to cause more damage. So my thatch canopy is not too dense. We're seeing some snow mold here. Now eventually what you're gonna do, again, once things have kind of dried out a little bit, you can come in here and just kind of slowly mechanically remove that thatch and see that snow mold area has gone now. You can still see the spores are open in there, but as long as you remove that snow mold very lightly with a rake, you're not gonna see major long-lasting damage from the snow mold. So what I would recommend is, again, wait until things have dried out a little bit. You're not seeing your lawn super wet and saturated, and then you can go ahead, break it up mechanically like I just did, and get rid of that snow mold before it causes more damage. If you leave it and you don't break it up, again, just like the thatch, the snow mold's going to cause damage. You're going to see brown or bare patches in your lawn, and that's just providing an opportunity for opportunistic weeds to take over, and they're really going to start that battle in early summer between the dandelions, the clover, everything else that's fighting for that space in your lawn. You're going to be fighting it. So you take a couple steps now to remove the snow mold. It's going to save you loads of time later. So that's the back lawn here. All in all, I'm really happy with how it's looking. Plenty of green still left in here, again, with how intense of a winter we've had. Not too bad, not too bad. It's looking pretty good. Now let's take a walk around the side and front lawn and see how that is doing. Again, lots of snow mold here in the side lawn, and here is the side lawn here. So this lawn actually over here faces north. So this side of the house gets the least amount of time to properly dry, and you can see the snow mold's really bad here, all living in the lawn. Again, that's just because north, the wind comes this way, blows all the snow up against the house, and then you get these big drifts forming here, and then you tend to get a lot of snow mold here. Coming around to the front lawn here, again, this, for example, would be an area of the lawn that is definitely far too wet to rake. Saturated, wet. Snow used to be up to here until this morning, far too wet to go in and rake. The back lawn there was getting closer to being dry enough to be able to rake. So taking a look at the front lawn here, again, a ton of snow mold. Look at all this snow mold in here. So that's mostly because my front lawn is not nearly as flat as my back lawn. So there's lots of little spots for that snow mold to really grow and thrive up here, as well as this. My front lawn, as we said, those drifts come from the street up there, blow across this way, and kind of stop when it hits the house and the cars parked in the driveway over here. So then we get these big drifts in the front lawn, which tend to thicker snow, more ice, more snow mold. So that's kind of what we're looking at here in the front lawn. All in all, front lawn to me is looking pretty rough. But front lawn is always looking rough. I don't know why, but my front lawn tends to take a beating in the wintertime in comparison to the back lawn. The other thing with the front lawn too, we snow blow, clear all the snow on the driveway. Everything gets tossed kind of here. I mean, look at the size of the snowbank that's still here. So all that's sitting on top of the lawn, and that doesn't help our case either. So finally, this front lawn is a good example too. I didn't cut this as late into the year as I did the back lawn. So I cut the back lawn about mid-November. I hadn't cut this since late October. So the grass was just that little bit longer, and that gave an opportunity for the snow mold to really thrive up there. So again, I find because I have snow mold issues in my front lawn, I have to do some more heavier dethatching. So I think we'll probably have to do that coming up in that front lawn to really open it up and help it thrive. But yeah, and then the side lawn, not really much to get into here, to be honest. Most of it's still covered in snow, as you can see. But I mean, it's not looking too bad. Snow mold issues are definitely present, but not horrible. So that's what's going on here in the side lawn. So without further ado, let's talk about the 3 things that you need to keep in mind for early spring lawn tips this year. All right, so there's 3 very important things to keep in mind when you're thinking about growing a good and healthy lawn, and they all start this spring. First thing to think about is airflow. Our lawn just went through a period of essentially suffocation. That ice and all that snow really hampers our lawn's ability to breathe in the wintertime. Even though our lawns are asleep, they're not dead. They still need to breathe. They still need to collect oxygen into the soil to allow those microbes to keep functioning at a slower level in the soil to help keep our soil healthy, which then allows our lawn to be healthy. So coming up into the spring, when it is going to be a very damp period, our springs tend to be wet, lots of rain, lots of snow melt off. Especially with the amount of snow we had this year, we're gonna have lots of moisture present in the soil. What comes with moisture? Fungus and mold. So what we need to keep in mind as homeowners and lawn care enthusiasts is that we need to keep that soil breathing enough so we do not provide an opportunity for mold and fungus and everything else to really set foot in that soil. So the first thing to keep in mind is oxygen. As we said, dethatching that lawn, opening it up with a rake, making sure that the big ice dams have melted off your lawn. If that involves a little bit of mechanical moving of the snow, you got a big snowbank, it's taking a really long time to melt, maybe get in there with a shovel, scoop it up and kind of spread it on the driveway a little bit, make it melt a little faster so your lawn can get back to breathing and living. So removing big ice dams on the lawn, number 1. Number 2, get mechanical raking as soon as you're good enough to go. So as soon as it's warm, it's dry enough that it's not super damp, but it's still a little bit damp enough, you can get in there, open up that canopy, break up those snow mold pullers, and give your lawn the best fighting chance to get growing this spring. The third thing is things on the lawn. If you store stuff outside, big tarps, anything like that, as we're untarping our patio furniture and all that stuff, try to keep that off the lawn for this time of year. Again, when the lawn's really moist and you get a really sunny day, that moisture is going to attempt to escape and go up into the air, and that's kind of what you would like to see. So putting a big tarp on the lawn to dry it out might not be the best idea this time of year. So if you can keep that off the lawn, put it on the driveway or something like that, that will definitely help. As the days get longer, we enjoy the sunlight. It's a sign that spring is coming and the weather's getting warmer. Your lawn does the exact same thing. Your lawn needs the sunlight to grow, and it's those days of long sunlight and warm weather that indicates your lawn that, hey, spring is here and it's time to grow. So if you can do whatever you can to allow your lawn to see as much sunlight as possible, that's what you need to do. So if you didn't do a very good job at raking your leaves this fall, and you got a lot of leaves and shit and sticks all over the lawn that's blocking the lawn's capability of seeing the sun, go ahead, remove that, rake it up, clean it up, pick up the sticks, pick up the piles of leaves. All that stuff needs to come up off the lawn to give the lawn its best fighting chance to grow this spring. It's unbelievable the difference between a covered area in the spring and a non-covered area. You know, a lot of people bag leaves in the fall where I live. They rake them into big piles, and then we end up getting an early snowstorm and they don't get out and bag them in time. If you get out and bag those leaves early March, your lawn might have a fighting chance of making a comeback. If you don't bag those leaves until early April, that might be the end of the lawn in that area, and you might have to reseed. So that's kind of what we're talking about here when we're talking about damage to the lawn from sunlight. So sunlight is vitally important to your lawn, and you need to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to help it. And then the third and final thing is patience. Lots of people get out in the lawn when it's super wet, they start raking, they start doing things that they think is going to help their lawn grow, and they end up causing more damage in the end. Spring is slow. Sometimes it feels like it takes forever. I know we've been sitting around all winter waiting to see the lawn, and we're really excited, but spring is slow, and sometimes you just got to be patient and wait for it to come around the corner before you can go ahead and start doing the work that you need to do this spring to help keep your lawn happy and healthy. So without further ado, that's it for this video from the Great North. My name is Wade Murray. Thank you guys for watching again. It's great to be back. We will be giving away the results of the giveaway we did at the end of last year, and we'll be sending that out. More promo codes, more great information, more product trials, more product testing coming up here very soon on the channel. So please subscribe, like, comment, and give me a comment down below on what aspect of the lawn season you are excited for coming up soon. From the Great North, my name is Wade Murray. As always, keep it green.